ping and latency to Korea for some reason spikes at peak hours. As you can imagine, using a VPN makes it smoother. I don't know if you noticed, but I think it was game 1 of, before we get into the cast, I think it was game 1 of Solo versus Trigger. I don't know if you noticed, but there were in-game frame drops, and that is because of the higher ping to Korea. So that was specifically in game 1 of Trigger versus Solar, and if you notice in game 2 and game 3 it was a lot smoother. That's because I turned the VPN on. That's specifically for the Korean server. But here we go, we're getting into game 1, and spawning in the top left hand corner of side Delta we have the French Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It's time to get your Gamba going. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series. Again, will SHIN, will history repeat itself and will SHIN take it again, or will Clem get his revenge? Best of luck in the chat as we have a 2x Reaper opener. Ooh, okay. So, bold move out of Clem. Bold move. It's going to be 2x Reaper. SHIN did open up 15-15. Ooh, for a 15 variation, actually. Went for an extractor trick. Going for an earlier gas geyser. Now, the reason why I say this is a bold move, Byun doesn't do this anymore versus SHIN specifically. Fun fact, Byun is fond of 2x Reaper. And again, SHIN, Byun stopped because Byun got punished hard. Whenever SHIN is up against this kind of opener, he is so quick and so willing to just all in. To go for earlier gases, get into link speed, maintain gas production, get into a Bailey nest as well, and all in after he defends. Now, the Overlord is about to realize what's going on. SHIN already has link speed on the way, and you can see he pulls back in. Big moment. He pulls back into gas. This is a big tell. So SHIN was in the midst of pulling out. Once he confirms this, I believe this is going to be for a Bane Bus follow-up. I believe. And it usually does well against Byun. Will it do well against Clem? For now, it's going to be on Clem to scout. As Clem dips in, is forced out of the natural. There it is. There's that Bailey nest that we did mention. Again, because SHIN pulled back into gas. And right now, it's on Clem to realize what's going on. Otherwise, he's going to be vulnerable to this. You can see Clem is already transitioning. Marine production has begun. And SHIN is massing up links. Oh boy. SHIN is massing up links as we speak. And Clem still doesn't know. He does confirm no third base, but that's normal in this kind of game state. Links! Ooh. Not quite in position. Clem didn't get surrounded though. Did pull away. Behind this, Clem double expanding. Natural base into a third CC in the main. Clem going for a standard transition. And Clem still doesn't realize what's going on. No bunkers. No bunkers at the natural. Add-ons are on the way. And the all-in, it's coming. Clem does get a queen. Massive pickoff. That would be a good pickoff if we were going for a longer game state, but here we go. Lings are moving out. And their goal here is to morph in those Banelings. Banelings going to be morphing across the map. The production, this is the army. 2 Marines. 2 Marines. That's all. 2 Marines and 3 Reapers. That's it. 2 Hellions are on the way, but the add-ons are exposed. And the Banelings going to be able to knock down their reactor. Overlord gets eyes on the setup. Banelings have morphed in. We're waiting for reinforcements. These Hellions are going to be crucial. These Hellions can defend. Hellions morph in just in time. The Hellions have arrived. Ooh, Banelings are denied as well. So far, so good. But Lings, they still get the surround. Yeah, they collapse over the Reapers. They take down one of the Hellions. And this might still just be too much. We are wasting some DPS here, though. Yeah, the Lings, they were wasting some DPS. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They bust in regardless. Now the Hellion has arrived. Oh, the SCVs, no! Massive connections! Hellions are cleaned up, and SHIN, he has controlled the natural. He has broken through. He has controlled the natural base. It is compromised. SCVs are going down. There's about to be another Hellion, but only the one Hellion. And this is game-ending damage. This is just far too much. Lings, they came to the main base. They're also here in the natural as well. The Hellion gets surrounded, and there's just nothing that Clem can do. He has one Banshee in production that will eventually kill everything. But what's left? What is left at this point? He's drone drilling here in the main base. saving whatever SCVs he can. Banelings are on the way. More lings are flooding in. Clem, he's powered by copium a little bit here. He's got a little bit of copium, pat. As we're getting up to 27 SCV kills. Lings still at the natural. Banelings are waddling in. No big connections. Nice control so far to Clem. Up. Nice control. Doesn't really lose much, but Lings, they can finish everything off. They can and they will. And Clem, he doesn't want to tap out. He doesn't want to. He's like, not again, not like last week. Not again. And Clem, he's fighting out the hard way. Why Beyond doesn't do this against Shin specifically? Like we called it at the start of the game. Like Shin, whenever he sees 2x Reaper, he is always so quick to all in with a Bane Bust. GG gets called and Shin takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Strong start here for Shin. Again, it's one of those things where, mate, you think you can 2x Reaper a Korean Zerg? Pappy. They are forged in the flames of Beyond, right? Like, Beyond, he's been embracing this kind of build and this kind of opener for the past, what, almost 2 years at this point? And Shin is very well practiced against it, and he's very good at punishing it, I should say. Very good at punishing. To the point that Beyond doesn't even touch it anymore. Yeah. And with that, Shin takes a lead. And now we're getting into game number 2. Here we go. Even without the duck trumpets? Yeah, I do apologize for the lack of trumpets. I do apologize. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Amphion. We have the French Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back. I mean, I'm sure he can. We'll see if he can force the ace match. It is Clem. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators, going for another 15-15. It is SHIN. Ooh, Clem's doing it again. Okay, Clem's doing it again. He's going 2x Reaper for a second time. Now, what I will say, there's a lot going on right now. SHIN is opening up 15-15, very safe opener. This is ideal against 2x Reaper. But clearly, after what happened in the last game, Clem is going to be more attentive when it comes to scouting. Remember, Clem did not get into the main, he did not scout the Bailey nest, he did not scout the gases. Clem wasn't able to confirm that SHIN was going for an all-in. But here in game 2, I'm sure Clem is going to be a lot more adamant about scouting, as it is the same build. So again, 2x Reaper out of Clem, SHIN 15-15 into an earlier gas. Now, the reason why this opener for SHIN is very safe and is ideal against 2x Reaper is because he's able to get into earlier queens. Queen's going to be a little bit earlier than normal. I mean, I say that, it was a 15 hatchery into, I believe, gas before pool. But it does mean faster link speed. And potentially faster banelings as well. Just like the last game, we'll see if SHIN pulls back in after 100 gas. If he pulls back in, it's going to be for a bust. The Overlord does confirm a lot faster, so SHIN is aware of what's going on. Is going to be able to prioritize link speed. And again, does he stay in or does he pull out? What's it gonna be? Okay, he pulls out. We have the answer. He's only going into link speed. He is not going for the Bane Bust response, which I think is a wise move, especially because it already worked once. I don't think it's going to work again against Clem. So I do like this here from SHIN. Reaper has arrived. Queen's about to pop out. The Queen will zone the first Reaper away. Second Queen coming in. It looks like SHIN is just going for a standard response, just building up queens, droning, getting into a soon-to-be third base. And Clem back at home is transitioning. Factories on the way, soon-to-be add-ons as well. Clem only getting 3 Reapers, which is the bare minimum. The bare minimum to deny the third and to contain. Oh, as Clem does get a tumor. Not bad. Creep tumor goes down. Clem going into a third CC behind this. Again, standard follow-up. This is the same response that Clem went for in the last game. But this time, Clem is going to be punished. And the Overlord does confirm, gets eyes on the third CC. SHIN is a Diva enjoyer. SHIN pulling back into gas. At a more reasonable time, though. He's fully saturated on 2 bases, pulls back in, takes a third. And we'll see where SHIN takes us from here. Likewise, there's the add-on swap into Banshee. So once again, it's going to be 2-on-1 setup into Heli and Banshee. This is the same build that Clem went for in Game 1. Confirmed. And now we can get into our game. We can get into our back and forth. Oh, saludos, papi, saludos. What are you saying? Okinawa, Chile, Brazil. Ah, Mr. Worldwide. I see. I understand. Oh, as the Hellions, they do take down one of the queens. Massive pickup. One queen goes down. Another queen gets low. SHIN is in a bit of trouble here. Queen is getting very low, forced to engage with the Lings, comes in for a surround, takes down a Reaper, but again, not the best trades for SHIN. Has to pull back. Gets off a transfuse. Behind this, no spores are set up either. SHIN, he didn't see the add-on swap. Uh-oh. SHIN's not fully aware of what's going on. There we go. Spore now on the way in the main. Spore in the main base. Overlord does get eyes on Stim. But I don't see a Spore. Then there we go. Spore now on the way to the natural. These Spores are more in position for Liberator defense, not Banshee. And the first Banshee is moving in. Hits the natural. Yeah, SHIN, he's not ready for this. Drones are going down. It's going to be 3 worker kills. 4 worker kills even. No Spore at the third base. Oh god. Yeah, again, this is a cheeky move here from Clem to go into Banshee over a 2-Rax opener. Is very unorthodox and does catch SHIN with its pants down. And this is becoming too much. This Cloak Banshee on its own may just be ending the game. That's 12 worker kills already. Hellions dive in, they head for the mineral line. Ling's gonna try to engage. The Lings are getting roasted. And there's still no Spore. Yeah, there's still no Spore. The Spore has to reposition. 20 drone kills. This is game ending. You can't afford these losses. Not at this level of play. Hellions, they dive into the natural. They're still not done. Getting even more drones. Oh, 28 worker kills. Ay. And even though SHIN scattered the third CC earlier, again, he didn't see the setup. He didn't see the tech lab on the starport. He was not ready at all for Banshees. Some people think the Invisible Man is good. Nah, the Invisible Flying Machine. As that is going to be 32 drone kills. Yeah, and now Clem, he doesn't even have to stim and win. He can A-move, papi. Can just walk across the map. We just see SHIN with barely a standing army. SHIN is supply blocked. Expansion is going to be going down. And GG gets called. There's not even a final fight. Clem will tie the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. GG. Whew. GG, well played. We're going all the way to game 3. To wind it back a little bit and to explain why that was so effective, is because when you open up 2-Rax Reaper, the standard follow-up, because you have 2 Raxes, is to go into a 2-1-1. Now, what is a 2-1-1? 2-1-1 is getting into your reactor, getting into your tech lab, getting into stim, and working towards a 16 Marine double medevac drop. That is the kind of standard follow-up. There are deviations. There's like 3-1-1, there's like 3 Rax follow-ups, there's 4 Rax follow-ups, but usually it's very Marine heavy, very bio heavy. Something that Clem did in game 1, or tried to do in game 1, and did accomplish here in game 2, is that instead, Clem goes for something that's inefficient. He goes for an add-on swap, gets into Hellion production, and gets his starport on the tech lab. Because of this, his Raxes aren't actually doing much. They aren't actually, adding much to the game, and Stim is heavily delayed, and Marine production is delayed. Likewise, Hellion Banshee is also delayed as well. So it is an inefficient follow-up, but it is also unpredictable. This is a better way of putting it. It's also something you don't really expect. Because of that, Shin had 0 spores. 0 spores in position, because why would you need spores in that kind of game state? Oh, because we do have a bit of a pause. So I'm basically Clem playing inefficiently to catch his opponent off guard, kind of metagaming in a way. That's probably the best way of putting it actually. It was a metagame from Clem. Kind of using the expectations of Shin against him. And with that, GG. GG well played. We're getting into the ace match.
Game resumed.
And here we go. We're settling in and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alcyon. And we have the French Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And Clem once again opening up 2-Rax Reaper. Now, Clem has gone for the same follow-up every game so far. It's been 2-Rax Reaper into Reactored Hellion Cloak Banshee. He's done it in game 1, did it in game 2, and because of that, the likelihood of Cloak Banshee working here in game 3 is lower now. Like, that was a cheeky build from Clem, but it's one of those things where I would imagine it only works once in a series. Now Shin isn't going to make assumptions. Now Shin is going to take things for granted, and I'm sure he's going to be more prone to scouting. Similarly to how last game Shin didn't go for a Bane Bust follow-up, because it's not going to work 2 games in a row. Likewise, I don't expect Cloak Banshees to work 2 games in a row either for Clem. But we'll see. We shall see. As the lot is going to come down to the early game. First things first, does Shin pull out of gas? Winding it back. Shin is moving out with the Overlord Scouts. He should be prioritizing the initial 100 gas for link speed. And once Shin realizes what's going on, does Shin revert and go back to a Bane Bust? That is a possibility. Shin is Ragnarok. Ragnarok name changed a couple of years ago. No longer goes by that ID. It's, for example, the reason why you wouldn't call Special Major anymore. Like, he name changed a long time ago. We don't call him Major anymore. We don't call Shin Ragnarok anymore. He's Shin. Has been the case for a long time. As the Reaper dips in. Yeah, it's like how Byan is crazy. Oh. As Shin does pull out of gas, so he's not going for a Bane Bust. Does Special still play? He does. Does still play, but he is not a full-time player anymore. So right now Special, he's like part-time, so he's not as dominant anymore. I would say that currently Kelazur is the strongest player in Latin America. No longer Special. As the creep is going to be spreading. Lings are amassing here in between the bases. Shin is still droning. And back at home, are we going for the add-on swap? We have the tech lab, we have the reactor. Third CC in the main. And Clem, so far it looks like the same build. Yep, there's the add-on swap, going for Reactor to Hellion, and another add-on swap going for the Banshees. Okay, so it is the same build for Clem 3 games in a row. Every single game so far, it's been the same build. Shin punished it in game 1, Shin didn't scout it in game 2. Here in game 3, Shin sees everything. The Overlord Pillar does give Shin all the information he needs. Roach Warren. Interesting. I think I like this. So if this was a standard game, I wouldn't, just because Cloak Banshees, they can completely shut down Roach Ravager. Like 1-1-1 builds, or I should say 1-1-1 variations can do quite well against Roach Ravager. But there's a difference here compared to a standard game. The production is at the natural. So if the Roach Ravager can break the natural, we can win the game. Because you can have the production, you deny any kind of factory and starport production as well. Assuming that SHIN commits to an all-in. We'll see. As Clem does move out across the map, SHIN is still droning. Hits the natural. SHIN trying to keep up. So far, so good. Again, SHIN is aware of what's going on. Roaches are building up. Now, the question becomes, again, is SHIN going for an all-in, or is he just making roaches to defend? With the lair on the way, I assume it's just for defense. Ling Runby tries to get across the map. There are Hellions to defend. Hellions, they take a lot of hits. They have to back off. And SHIN is droning. SHIN is droning. SHIN is getting a lair. So it looks like the roaches are just for safety. Ooh, but he does bleed out a lot of Lings. That's 14 Lings going down. Scan into the main, doesn't see much. Roaches are revealed. There is a Sport the third, Sport the natural, Banshee rocks up, and this time SHIN is ready. Last game, Banshees, they showed up and they just ended the game. It was a little bit anticlimactic, but yeah, the Banshees, there was nothing to defend. This time, there are Spores. This time, SHIN is ready. SHIN will deflect. Plenty of detection. Hellions, they do bypass the main army, though. And this is what we needed, those Lings. Yeah, Hellions, they go for the mineral line. Drones are going down. Yeah, there was a massive opening. And SHIN just barely could not keep up. Oh my god, the boys! They're lining up! Oh my god. It's going to be 8 drone kills so far. I say 8, it's going to be 11, 12. Another Hellion into the third. Queens are ready for this, though. 13 worker kills. Now, this... 15. Oh, God. This isn't game ending like last time. This isn't game ending like game 2, but this is critical damage. This is a mineral line. A mineral line goes down. As a result, Clem takes an economic lead. He has mules. He has his third base up and running. SHIN getting another expansion, getting a fourth. But because SHIN has to re-drone, and because he has to resaturate all these bases, it means that he's going to be lacking an army. Here comes the drop play. SHIN, he has 3 roaches. This is the army. 3 roaches, soon to be 9. 6 more roaches on the way. But SHIN is vulnerable, and SHIN is supply blocked. Oh no. 6 overlords on the way. SHIN, he's under a lot of pressure. He's in a lot of trouble. And if he can stabilize... I mean, he needs time. He needs time to stabilize. Needs a lot of time. Banshee's at the 4th. Roaches so far, they deflect the drop. SHIN trying to get into Banelings. Trying to get into Lingbane Roach Ravager. Oh my god. SHIN barely does almost lose the queen. Barely saves it. SHIN is keeping up. Hive is on the way. Bold move. I assumed the infestation bit was going to be for infestors. I thought it was going to be for fungals, but no, we're rushing into the hive instead. It's going to be risky here for SHIN. Meanwhile, Spore isn't quite ready. Oh, it's going to be 3. It's going to be 4 drone kills going down. Gets one of the Banshees at least. Just a little bit of solace for SHIN. But this has only been harassed, and now here comes the proper move out. Clem is going to be pushing, and SHIN needs a lot to defend. He does have Ravagers, thankfully. He can try to slow this down. Bailing speed just began. He does force a siege. And I'm going to be impressed if SHIN can save the expansion. If he can save the goal, that's going to be crazy. Nah, there's no shot. Bailing's turning away the Marines. Tanks are sieging up. They're getting within range of the expansion. And Shin again, he's just struggling to hold on. Bailey's just now morphing in. Tank goes down. Gets a tank, gets a nice concave. Still not enough, gets a second tank. Shin, he barely has a buffer for his Ravagers. Hatchery does complete, more tanks moving forward. Shin doesn't quite get close enough to Bile. Oh! Attempts! Oh, the splits! Splits are too good. Clem, he's holding his own. He has 3 tanks behind this. 1 tank gonna be Bile down. Shin trying to Bile down another tank. He will get it. Gets the tank, gets both. The tanks go down. Shin, he saves the expansion. Very impressive. Saves the base. And we had some very meticulous splitting there from Shin. He holds, he survives, and now he counterattacks. Oh my god. Shin, calm down. Has to pull back. There are reinforcements. There's 3 tanks on the high ground. Shin has to respect it. He pulls away. Gold base getting saturated immediately. And Shin, he's barely holding on. And the question becomes, oh, can Shin counterattack? He's hoping there's an expansion. There's no CC. Clem expanded towards the left-hand side. Planetary's up and running. Shin has not scouted, but now he knows. Clem likewise going for a double drop. Shin did miss this. Uh-oh. Clem stimming in. Shin not quite in position. Leaves out 3 drones. Link Scout does confirm the expansion. Now, Clem still has the economic lead. The supply does lie. Shin, he's up in supply, but it's inflated, so really is down in supply. Just because Roach Ravager is very inefficient. So Shin survives, but can he stabilize here? He is maxing out, getting into Ultra Tech. Upgrades are on the way, still on 1-1. 1-1 attack upgrades, I should say. Clem going for a double drop. Does catch Shin a bit off guard. Gets a Spore. Does target fire 7 drones. Oh my god. 7 workers go down. Shin has to re-drone. Lings, they will delay the 5th. Not bad. Gets a couple of SCVs. Likewise, Shin is keeping up. Now, as both armies are maxing out, Shin, he has to get rid of some of these roaches. As we mentioned before, Shin, he has inflated army supply, and he has to refine it. Vipers are now in the mix. Ultras are in the mix as well. But still stuck with a lot of roaches. And Clem is securing his position, getting his 5th. Shin pushing in at the same time. Clem does hit that expansion. And he does get a CC, gets 2. Bailey's going for the mineral line. Up! The SCVs! Planetary goes down, 10 SCVs as well. Not a bad pickup here by Shin. Behind this, though, the expansion getting very low to that 1 drop. Roaches, they will be able to barely defend. Barely save the expansion. Shin did save his Vipers. Shin bleeding out his Ultra. 3 more Ultras on the way. Shin pulling back. Vipers are ready. Oh, getting the Ghost. He gets 1. Just the 1. One Ghost goes down. Shin going for a Roach counterattack. At the same time, can he save the expansion again? The expansion is barely standing. Nah, there's no shot. No saving it. We'll see if he can. Does commit in. Blinding Cloud to tanks. Tanks are being shut down. Snipes going off on the Vipers. And Clem will take the fight. Takes down 2 Vipers. Takes down all 3. 3 Vipers go down. The expansion is going to fall as well. Roach counterattack didn't really do much. Shin is hurting. Has to give up on the expansion. Has to pull away. There are 6 Ultras in production, but Ultras take a long time to build up. They take a long time. Shin coming in for the surround. Let's force the pickup. So that 1 tank on the low ground. We'll get the tank. We'll force Clem to back up. Another tank is set up. And Instead, SHIN rotating over towards the right-hand side. Likewise, so is Clem. Oh, and Clem, he got the gold. The gold base is up. Banelings are going to be rolling in. And the planetary does go down, but not the SCVs. And SHIN trading his army for a base. SHIN still needs to build up. Putting out some Banelings. Banelings are getting denied. Clem going for a split push. And SHIN, he's having a hard time splitting up his army. Yeah, this drop is getting a little bit too much. Takes down the Ultra, takes down the Banelings. Yeah, SHIN, he just can't keep up. As Clem is breaking through. SHIN, he defends on the front lines. Not really. Being forced out into the open. The drop takes down the natural. 11 drones go down. SHIN, he almost was able to stabilize. Casito, papi, casito. But not quite. And snipes are going off. GG gets called, and Clem will take the series 2-1. He will get his revenge and will advance on to the grand finals. Whew. GG. I'll find the horn. I'll find it. Oh, never mind. Hold on. There we go. GG, well played. Congratulations, Clem will take the series. SHIN, honestly, I was very impressed that he was able to save the gold. If you remember, there was that moment where SHIN, he was up against the wall. He had lost 15 drones. I feel like any lesser player would have died then and there, but SHIN, he held on. He saved the gold base. He was able to get into Hive Tech, able to get into Ultras. He was still stuck with a subpar army, unfortunately. And again, even though the supplies were close, it didn't really tell the full story there with what kind of supply they were working with. So Clem did snowball out of control. SHIN was unable to keep up. GG. GG, well played. Very impressive play there out of Clem. Very interesting build as well. Usually when it comes to these online tournaments and when it comes to the kind of setup that we had there, it did seem like Clem, he has found a build that he's interested in. I'm referring to 2-Axe Reaper into Banshee Hellion, and he's been having some fun with it. He's refining it, and we'll see what comes of it as well. Was able to catch SHIN at least off guard, at least in game 2, and was even able to get a lot of damage done in game number 3 as well. So Clem, he's been cooking. He has been cooking. It's an interesting variation on 2-on-1, on 2-Axe Reaper, and no one else is really doing this either. We have seen Byun and Maru go for something similar, where they go for like a hidden starport in the main base, but it hits later. It does hit a little bit later instead. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see the evolution of that build and how it does evolve over time. Until then, though, GG, well played. We are now getting ready for the grand finals. It's going to be a best of 5 grand finals between Clem and Gumiho.